Hello, welcome to Pixoguias. We are Sofiia and Rodrigo, and in this video we are going to check and analyze more than 100 examples of the simulator items and exercises similar to those which are contained in our study guides. After reviewing the exercises, we will review how the second part of the exam is solved. The items and exercises are extremely similar to the real test EGAL EIN, so you could practice with the items with the same level of difficulty of the final exam, which is very useful. Our study guides are updated no matter when you are seeing this video according to CENEVAL. We include all the topics explained according to the official bibliographic references. So the items and exercises and the explained topics in the study guide are digital in the PDF format. In 2021, our last collaborator Ekaterina and Rodrigo made a detailed video of this guide showing how the guide looks like in graphics. So feel free to check that video and click in the description above of this video to reach and see it. Therefore, our videos are digital sample books, so if you need a digital sample book, know that our videos are exactly these samples. The digital guides are protected with a password that we will provide you, and the documents can be viewed on the gadgets such as laptop, desktop computer, smartphones and tablets, except Kindle. So also, you can just print the guide if you wish. As you know, the English teacher accreditation process by CENEVAL includes two phases. Phase 1, EGAL EIN test or writing test, and Phase 2, the EXOAL EIN test, or basically is just the oral test. The first phase, or EGAL EIN, consists of 3 areas, of which you can see all the details in the previous video made by Ekaterina and Rodrigo. The areas are:
the first area is linguistics. The sub-areas are general linguistics, morphology and syntax, phonetics and phonology, lexicology and semantics, and finally, language use. It's important to note that the first area of the last syllabus, that was origins of English, is not going to be evaluated in the exam anymore. The second area of this new syllabus is principles of teaching and learning, with the sub-areas didactics, curriculum and syllabus design, psychology, evaluation and assessment, and finally, online learning and distance education. And finally, the third area, English language teaching, with the following sub-areas: language acquisition and learning, approaches and methods to language learning, teaching the language skills, professional development, and finally, language and culture. It is important to note that for this first phase of the EGAL EIN process exam, this test has 185 exercises.
after you accredit the EGAL EIN, you must complete the EXOAL EIN, which is a practical case that you must develop according to CENEVAL guidelines. You must submit a portfolio of evidence, and at the end you will take the oral exam in the auditorium. Of course, our EGAL EIN study guide includes a specific guide for the EXOAL EIN, which will tell you step by step how to solve the practical case, the portfolio of evidence, and respond appropriately in the audience. In this video, we are focusing in solving more than 100 examples of items that are very similar to the ones that you can find in the EGAL EIN test. As a native Ukrainian, English and Ukrainian are the fundamental languages for me, and I use them to communicate to the world. In this video, I have the pleasure of teaching you together with Rodrigo, and we will share with you the examples of exercises and indicate the types of the guides that we have available. So we have the basic version. It contains the topics solved and explained based on the bibliographic references proposed by CENEVAL, in addition to 200 exercises and simulation items. Of course, we include the guide for the EXOAL EIN. The next version is deluxe version. It includes all the above and 400 exercises. The absolute version includes all the above and 1000 exercises. The supreme version includes the above and 1500 exercises. The universal version includes the above and 2000 exercises. The advantage of having more exercises is that you can practice with the exercises that are similar to those on the exam, so you can familiarize yourself with the difficulty and structure. Okay, are you ready? Let's get started.
En Pixoguias entendemos que muchas personas tienen reservas al comprar en línea, especialmente cuando se trata de productos educativos y digitales. Por eso, para tu tranquilidad, ponemos a tu disposición más de 800 opiniones verificadas en nuestra fanpage de Facebook, así como comentarios de usuarios reales en nuestro canal de YouTube y en nuestra página web oficial. También puedes ver en pantalla todos nuestros canales de contacto oficiales, incluido nuestro número de WhatsApp para atención directa y personalizada. Todos los días hacemos nuestro mejor esfuerzo, y esto se refleja en la cantidad de seguidores activos crecientes que mantenemos en nuestro canal de YouTube, lo cual puede transmitirte mayor confianza. Contamos con una sede administrativa en Torre Polanco, Ciudad de México, donde se gestionan los asuntos legales, operativos y de marca. No brindamos atención presencial, pero sí garantizamos respuesta ágil y personalizada a través de nuestros medios oficiales. Además, estamos registrados ante el Instituto Mexicano de la Propiedad Industrial, INPI, lo cual respalda legalmente la marca Pixoguias y nuestro compromiso con la educación. Como en cualquier proyecto con miles de usuarios, es natural que exista un pequeño porcentaje de usuarios con experiencias distintas, pero la enorme mayoría de quienes nos contactan están satisfechos con la calidad, claridad y utilidad de nuestros materiales. También contamos con un equipo real, visible y profesional detrás de este proyecto. Puedes conocer más sobre nosotros en nuestros contenidos, donde compartimos imágenes y muestras de las más de 2000 opiniones positivas acumuladas en distintas plataformas durante más de una década. Lo más importante es que te sientas seguro y en confianza. Te invitamos a escribirnos con total libertad. Valoramos el respeto mutuo y siempre procuramos responder con atención, empatía y honestidad. ¿Cuáles son los precios y cómo recibir una guía? Los precios de las diferentes guías podrás visualizarlos en la descripción de este video. Allí podrás encontrar el enlace hacia la tienda en línea de la guía de tu interés. Además de los precios, encontrarás las características y diferencias entre cada una de ellas, formas de pago y tiempo de envío, el cual es generalmente inmediato tu correo electrónico, siempre y cuando nos envíes tu comprobante vía WhatsApp o fanpage de Facebook. Puedes hacer tu pago en nuestra tienda en línea a través de tarjeta de débito, tarjeta de crédito o PayPal las 24 horas. No es necesario crear una cuenta. O si lo prefieres, puedes hacer tu pago a través de depósito bancario de 8 de la mañana a 4 o 5 de la tarde, dependiendo del banco, pago en Practicajas las 24 horas del día o depósito en tienda de conveniencia, OXXO o 7-Eleven, de 8 de la mañana a 8 de la noche. Si lo prefieres, puedes realizar transferencia interbancaria a cualquier hora. Pixoguias está disponible las 24 horas, los 7 días de la semana, sin importar si es un día festivo o es madrugada.
Now, we will review exercises in the direct questioning format for Area 1 Linguistics. Okay, as you can see, in the upper left corner of our items, that is, exercises, the subarea and the topic to which the item refers are indicated. Next, we present the answer choices, the explained answer, and the justification and explanation, along with the official bibliographic reference proposed by CENEVAL that supports the correct answer. So, that is essentially how the exercises are presented in our guide, and that is how we will review them through this video. Now Sofiia is going to explain some exercises.
For the next item, let's craft a direct questioning type of question, focusing on the sub-area teaching the language skills and the topic strategies to develop listening skills. In high school English class, the teacher decides to improve the students' listening skills by using authentic audio materials. Before playing the recording of a news broadcast, the teacher provides a list of key vocabulary and phrases that will be heard. After listening, students are grouped to discuss the main points and details they gathered from the news, and this technique, focusing on listening for specific information and summarizing the content, best exemplifies which of the following listening strategies: A. Listening for the gist, B. Intensive listening, C. Extensive listening, and D. Selective listening. The correct answer is D. Let me explain. This technique exemplifies selective listening, where listeners focus on specific pieces of information within a larger audio context. By preparing students with key vocabulary and phrases, and then having them to identify some main points and details, the teacher is directing them to listen selectively for particular information, rather than just understanding every word or the overall theme. Let's move to the next exercise. Strategies to develop reading skill. In order to enhance ESL students' reading comprehension, a teacher implements a strategy where students first predict the content of the text based on the title and any accompanying visuals, and after reading, they confirm or revise their predictions by discussing them in small groups. This strategy not only improves the understanding, but also encourages active engagement with the text. This reading comprehension technique is known as A. Scanning, B. Skimming, C. Predictive reading. The right answer is C. Let me explain. The described strategy is more accurately identified as predictive reading. This approach involves making predictions about a text's content before reading and then confirming or revising those predictions afterward. This technique is effective for improving reading comprehension and engaging students with the text by encouraging them to use their prior knowledge and context clues to make informed guesses about the text they are about to read. Let's move to the next exercise. Human development. Understanding the stages of human development is crucial for language teachers, as it enables them to tailor their teaching strategies to the cognitive and emotional maturity of their learners. For example, Piaget's theory suggests that during the stage from about 7 to 11 years old, children become capable of logical thought processes but are not yet able to handle abstract reasoning. This knowledge helps teachers design activities that are appropriate for the developmental stage of their students. The options: A. Pre-operational, B. Concrete operational, C. Formal operational. The correct answer is B. Piaget's concrete operational stage is characterized by the development of logical thought processes, albeit with a focus on concrete objects and situations rather than just abstract concepts. Understanding this stage is essential for language teachers to create lessons that actually align with their students' cognitive development, thus facilitating more effective learning.
This exercise is about the sub-area General Linguistics with topic Concepts of General Linguistics. In the field of linguistics, a distinction is often made between the study of the internal structure of language and the use of language in social interaction. A researcher is interested in how utterances perform actions, such as requesting, promising, or apologizing, depending on the speaker's intention and the context. Which linguistic concept best describes the researcher's focus? A. Competence, B. Pragmatics, or C. Syntax. As we can see, pragmatics is the correct answer, because pragmatics examines how meaning is constructed and interpreted based on the context, intention, and social norms, particularly in speech acts like request or apologize. By the way, competence and syntax are incorrect. Competence is incorrect because this concept, introduced by Chomsky, refers to the speaker's internalized knowledge of grammar and does not occur for contextual meaning in communication. By the way, syntax is incorrect because this syntax is concerned with the structural arrangement of words into phrases and sentences, independent of speaker intention or social interaction. We can see now an exercise from the sub-area Morphology and Syntax with the topic Morphology of Words in the English Language. In the sentence, he misinterpreted the instructions. Which of the following best describes the morphological structure of the verb misinterpreted? A. Root plus derivational suffix plus inflectional suffix. B. Prefix plus root plus inflectional suffix. Or C. Prefix plus root plus derivational suffix. The correct answer is B. Prefix plus root plus inflectional suffix. Why? Because the word misinterpreted is composed of the prefix mis, the root interpret, and the inflectional suffix ed, which indicates past tense. By the way, A, root plus derivational suffix plus inflectional suffix is incorrect because this structure would imply the use of a suffix to derive meaning before applying inflection, but mis is a prefix and not a suffix. C is incorrect because there is no derivational suffix present, and ed only indicates tense, not a change in the lexical category or meaning. Okay, we can have this exercise from the sub-area Morphology and Syntax with the topic Syntax in the English language. Which of the following sentence exemplifies a cleft construction used to emphasize a specific sentence element? A. She only saw the painting yesterday. B. What she saw yesterday was the painting. Or C. She saw the painting that everyone was talking about. The correct answer is B. What she saw yesterday was the painting. Why? Because this is a classic cleft sentence where a relative clause and a focus element are used to highlight a specific part of the sentence, often for emphasis. A. She only saw the painting yesterday is incorrect because this is a standard sentence with focus marked by adverb placement, but it does not use cleft syntax. And C is incorrect because this is a complex sentence with a restrictive relative clause, not a cleft construction. We can see now an exercise from the sub-area Morphology and Syntax with the topic Syntax in the English language. A graduate student in linguistics analyzes the sentence. Only after a concert was over did the audience start leaving. She observes that the subject comes after the auxiliary and that a fronted adverbial phrase triggers the inversion. She concludes the structure exemplifies a deviation from canonical word order used for rhetorical or stylistic purposes in formal context. Which syntactic phenomenon is being illustrated? A. Subject auxiliary inversion in interrogatives. B. Extraposition. Or C. Subject auxiliary inversion in negative or restrictive adverbials. The correct answer is C. Subject auxiliary inversion in negative or restrictive adverbials. Why? Because this phenomenon occurs when a negative or restrictive adverbial, for example only after, rarely, or never, is front, triggering inversion of the auxiliary and subject, as seen in formal English syntax. A. Incorrect because this inversion occurs in yes, no, or WH questions, such as did she go? Not in declarative sentence with anal adverbials. B. Extraposition is incorrect because extraposition involves shifting clauses to the end of a sentence for clarity. For example, it is clear that she left. It does not involve fronting or auxiliary inversion. This exercise is from the sub-area Phonetics and Phonology with the topic Phonetics of English. An advanced English learner is having trouble distinguishing between the vowels bit and beat, despite repeated listening and production practice. A phonetics instructor explains that the learner is failing to perceive and produce the contrast based on vowel length and tongue position, particularly height and tenses, which are crucial in distinguishing the two phonemes in many varieties of English. What type of phonetic contrast is the student failing to recognize? A. A suprasegmental contrast. B. Vowel quality contrast. Or C. A simulatory contrast. The correct answer is B. Vowel quality contrast. The learner struggles to distinguish the height, tenseness, and length, E versus E, which are differences in vowel quality critical to English vowel distinction. A is incorrect because suprasegmental features include intonation, stress, and rhythm, which operate above the segmental level. This case involves segmental phonemes. And C is also incorrect because assimilation refers to sound changes due to neighboring sounds, such as in the connected speech, and is not involved in this type of minimal pair contrast. Now we can see an example of exercise of phonetics and phonology with topic phonology of English. A linguist analyzes the variation in the pronunciation of the phoneme T in the following words: butter, button, Batman, and bottle. He observes that in some dialects the T sound is realized as a voice flap R, a glottal stop, or even deleted, depending on its position and the phonetic environment. These variations do not change the meaning of the words and are considered predictable in context. Which phonological concept best accounts for these variations? A. Allophonic distribution. B. Phonemic contrast. Or C. Elision. Correct answer is A. Allophonic distribution. These are context-dependent realizations of the phoneme T that do not alter meaning and follow phonological rules with dialects, classic example of allophones. B and C are incorrect. B. This refers to differences that change meaning, like P versus B in the pat versus bat. Here the meaning remains intact across all realizations of T. C. Elision is incorrect because elision involves the complete omission of a sound for ease of pronunciation, while D. Elision may occur, and the primary phenomenon across all examples is the existence of predictable variants and not the elation alone. Here we have an exercise from phonetics and phonology with topic phonology of English. A non-native speaker pronounces the sentence, "He's going to see it," as "he's to see it," while native speakers commonly produce it as "he is." The difference reflects not only phonetic reduction but also the influence of connected speech processes such as assimilation, elision, and linking. The glottal stop at the end further shows a regional feature common in some dialects like Cockney or stuttery English. What phonological process is primarily responsible for the realization of T as G in this context? A. Glottalization. B. Jot coalescence. Or C. Intrusion. Correct answer is A. Glottalization. This process replaces T with glottal stop, particularly in syllable final position, and is recognized phonological feature of several English dialects. B and C are incorrect because jot coalescence involves the combination of alveolar and palatal sounds, and as in digit, which is not present here. And intrusion is incorrect also because intrusion refers to the insertion of sounds between vowels boundaries and not the replacement of consonants like T. Now we have another exercise of lexicology and semantics with the topic meaning and sense of words in the English language. In semantic analysis, the words buy and sell are often cited as examples of lexical items that describe the same event from different participant roles. One emphasizes the receiver and the other the provider, yet both involve a transactional process. These pairs are used to illustrate the relational meaning between lexical items based in the role in the situation. Which type of semantic relationship do these words exemplify? A. Hyponymy. B. Antonymy. Or C. Converseness. Correct answer is C. Converseness. Why? Because buy and sell are converses. They describe the same situation from two perspectives where the roles of the participants are reversed but the event remains constant. Hyponymy is incorrect because hyponymy refers to the hierarchical relationship where one word is subcategory of another. Rose is a hyponym of flower, which is not the case here. Antonymy is incorrect because are words with the opposite meanings, like hot versus cold, but buy and sell do not directly oppose each other. They describe complementary roles. Now we have another example of exercise from lexicology and semantics, with the topic lexis and vocabulary in the English language. An English language teacher introduces the verb run to her students and provides examples like run a business, run late, run for the office, and run a program. And she explains that although the verb is morphologically changed, it takes on a variety of meanings depending on the collocational context and semantic field. Which linguistic phenomenon is being illustrated? A. Polysemy, B. Homonymy, C. Synonymy. Answer A. Polysemy. This is correct because polysemy occurs when a single word has multiple related meanings. Run in all examples contains a core semantic link, but expresses diverse senses based on usage. B and C are incorrect. Homonymy is incorrect because homonymy words are identical form but unrelated meanings, like bank, that is river versus financial institution, which does not apply here. And C, synonymy is incorrect because synonymy involves different words with similar meanings, such as big and large, and all examples here are the same word. Here we have another exercise, and this is about language in use with topic spoken and written discourse. A linguistic analyzes a political speech and identifies frequent use of cohesive devices such as reference, ellipsis, substitution, and conjunction, which help maintain textual unity and logical flow between ideas. These elements are evaluated as essential for recognizing textual coherence and interpreting meaning beyond sentence-level grammar. What type of linguistic features is the linguistic focusing on? A. Cohesion mechanisms, B. Syntactic rules, or C. Prosodic features. Correct answer is A. Cohesion mechanisms. This answer is because these are devices that link ideas across sentences and include reference, ellipses, and conjunctions, key tools for discourse coherence in both spoken and written texts. Syntactic rules is incorrect because syntax focuses on the internal structure of sentences and not on the interconnection between them through a discourse. C is incorrect because this refers to aspects of spoken language such as intonation, rhythm, and stress, which are not directly related to textual cohesion in writing. Now we have an exercise of language in use with the topic language and context. In a cross-cultural business negotiation, a British executive says, "We might need to revisit this proposal," intending to politely reject the offer. However, her Japanese counterpart interprets it as a willingness to keep discussing it. This misunderstanding arises from differences in indirectness, strategies, and expectations about communicative intent in interaction. What linguistic phenomenon best explains this pragmatic breakdown? A. Presuppositional failure, B. Cross-cultural pragmatic failure, or C. Semantic ambiguity. The correct answer is B. Cross-cultural pragmatic failure. Why? Because this refers to misinterpretations caused by culturally distinct uses of pragmatics, particularly in politeness, indirectness, and implicator, as seen in the mismatch between speaker intent and listener interpretation. A. Presuppositional failure is incorrect because this occurs when the background assumption of a statement is false, but here the issue is not with presupposed content, but with interpretation of intent. C. Semantic ambiguity is incorrect because semantic ambiguity involves lexical or structural meanings at sentence level, not contextual misinterpretation across cultures. This exercise is about language in use with the topic social linguistics. A social linguist studies the variable pronunciation of a post-vocalic R sound in New York English. She finds that speakers tend to pronounce R more often in formal interviews and less often in casual conversation. Moreover, speakers from higher socioeconomic backgrounds use rhotic variants more frequently than those from working-class backgrounds, showing systematic variation conditioned by style and class. What or which concept best explains the social linguistic pattern? A. Code switching. B. Register variation. Or C. Social linguistic variable. The correct answer is C. Social linguistic variable. Why? Because a social linguistic variable in a linguistic feature like our realization that varies systematically with social factors such as class, formality, or region, as demonstrated in label studies. A and B are incorrect. A. Code switching because involves alternating between distinct language or dialects within a conversation, which is not the case here. And B is incorrect also because register refers to functional language variation depending on context, like academic versus informal, but not necessarily systematic phonological patterns across social groups. This example is about general linguistics with the topic Theories of General Linguistics. A theoretical linguist is developing a model to describe universal patterns across languages. He argues that languages are dynamic systems shaped by international pressures, cognitive constraints, and frequency of use rather than fixed, innate grammatical principles, and his framework considers grammar as emergent from actual language use and social interaction. Which theoretical approach aligns with this perspective? A. Emergentism. B. Generative grammar. Or C. Structuralism. The correct answer is A. Emergentism. Emergentism views linguistic structures as arising from usage patterns, cognitive processes, and social factors, rather than from specific mental blueprints. By the way, generative grammar and structuralism are incorrect because, for example, in generative grammar, this model rooted in Chomskyan theory posits the grammar in innate and autonomous from the use or interaction, which contradicts an emergent view. And structuralism is incorrect because structuralism emphasizes language as a system of signs, but lacks a focus of usage-based grammar formation or cognitive processing. Now we have an exercise of general linguistics with the topic Theories of General Linguistics. A linguist conducts a study to explain how children across languages develop similar grammatical structures despite limited exposure to explicit instruction. He proposed that the capacity for language is a biological program and that all languages share an underlying structural design, triggered by environmental stimuli. What theoretical framework best explains the linguist approach? A. Transformational generative grammar. B. Behaviorism. Or C. Systemic functional linguistics. The correct answer is A. Transformational generative grammar, because this theory proposed by Noam Chomsky argues that humans are born with an innate universal grammar, which guides the development of grammatical structures regardless of language exposure. B. Behaviorism is incorrect because this theory sees language acquisition as the result of conditioning and imitation, disregarding internal cognitive structures, and it cannot explain spontaneous grammar generation. C. Systemic functional linguistics is incorrect also because, while insightful for analyzing language using context, this theory emphasizes social functions of language and not biological propositions or innate mental structures. This exercise is about general linguistics with the topic Concepts of General Linguistics. A linguistic researcher claims that the ability to produce and understand an unlimited number of sentences, including those never previously encountered, is a defining feature of human language. He contrasts that with communication systems in animals, which are limited to fixed signals and responses, and his focus is on the creative and recursive potential of human syntax. Which concept best describes this unique property? A. Discreteness. B. Duality of patterning. Or C. Productivity. The correct answer is productivity. Why? Because productivity refers to the capacity of human language to produce and comprehend an infinite number of novel utterances using a finite set of rules and central to generative theories. Discreteness is incorrect because discreteness refers to the idea that language is made up of separable units, such as phonemes, but it does not capture the concept of infinite generativity. And B. Duality of patterning is incorrect because this concept describes how a small number of meaningless units or phonemes can be combined into meaningful ones, like morphemes, but not the ability to generate novel sentences. Now we have another exercise of morphology and syntax with the topic Morphology of Words in the English Language. In the word unavailability, the morphological analysis reveals multiple layers of affixation that alter both meaning and grammatical category. Starting with the root believe, each affix contributes to the construction of a complex word from involving both derivational and inflectional processes. Which of the following correct reflects the hierarchical morphological structure of invalidability? A. Prefix plus derivational suffix plus root plus inflectional suffix. B. Prefix plus root plus derivational suffix plus derivational suffix. And C. Prefix plus root plus derivational suffix plus inflectional suffix. Correct answer is B. Prefix plus root plus derivational suffix plus derivational suffix. Why? Because on is prefix, plus believe is root, and plus able is derivational suffix to form adjective. Plus ity is a derivational suffix forming noun. This shows multiple layers of derivation. A and B are incorrect. A is incorrect because this ordering is illogical. Derivational suffixes do not precede the root and there is no inflectional suffix in the word. And C is also incorrect because while the first part is plausible, the final ity is derivational, not inflectional, and it changes the word class, not tense of number. Now we have this exercise of morphology and syntax with the topic Syntax in the English Language. Consider the following sentence. The student who the professor said would win the award didn't attend the ceremony. A syntactic analysis reveals multiple levels of embedding and movement, as the relative clause contains an additional clause with its own subject and verb, resulting in a complex sentence with both restrictive, modification, and argument extraction. Which of the following best describes the syntactic structure of the underlined segment? Who the professor said would win the award? A. Object relative clause with subject raising. B. Subject relative clause with center embedding. Or C. Subject complement clause with topicalization. Correct answer is B. Subject relative clause with center embedding. This is a subject relative clause modifying student with center embedding of a subordinate clause, the professor said, making the structure syntactically dense. A is incorrect because the clause modifies the subject student, not the object, and there is no raising of a subject across predicates. C is also incorrect because the clause is not complement, nor it is fronted as in topicalization. It functions as a restrictive modifier internal to the noun phrase. Now, this exercise is from the subarea Phonetics and Phonology with topic Phonetics of English. An advanced phonetic transcription of the word man as pronounced in rapid speech in the utterance. That man is smart yields mean, showing the influence of nasalization, glide insertion, and vowel rising due to the co-articulatory environment. The vowel Now we have this exercise from Phonetics and Phonology with the topic Phonetics of English. An advanced phonetic transcription of the word man as produced in rapid speech in the utterance. That man is smart yields mean, showing the influence of nasalization, glide insertion, and vowel rising due to the co-articulatory environment. The vowel quality deviates from the canonical A, E due to the proximity of nasal and approximant sounds, which articulatory feature primarily accounts for for the nasalization and vowel modification in this context? A. Anticipatory co-articulation affecting vowel height and nasality. B. Progressive assimilation of the alveolar nasal. Or C. Fortition triggered by stress and final position. Correct answer is A. Anticipatory co-articulation affecting vowel height and nasality. Nasal N influences the preceding vowel through anticipatory co-articulation, rising a nasaling vowel due to the airflow redirection before the nasal closure. B and C are incorrect. B. Progressive assimilation of the alveolar nasal is incorrect because progressive assimilation affects following segments. In this case, the influence is regressive from the nasal to the vowel. C is incorrect also because fortition involves strengthening of consonants, typically not applied of nasalization or vowel quality changes in medial positions. This exercise is from Phonetics and Phonology, and the topic is Phonology of English. In some varieties of English, such as African American Vernacular English, AB, and certain London dialects, the final consonant cluster in words like test or cold is often simplified in casual speech, especially when followed by a word beginning with a consonant. For example, Colfax, Colfax. This phenomenon follows a systematic pattern that affects specific phonetic environments without compromising intelligibility. Which phonological rule best explains this pattern? A. Final voicing. B. Consonant cluster reduction. Or C. Epenthesis. Correct answer is B. Consonant cluster reduction. This rule deletes one consonant from a cluster, typically in coda position, to facilitate articulation in rapid or casual speech. It is rule-governed and sensitive to phonotactic constraints. A. Final voicing is incorrect because this involves the neutralization of voice obstruents to voiceless in final position, for example D to T, but that is not the process occurring here. And C. Epenthesis is incorrect because epenthesis involves insertion of a segment like a vowel and not deletion or simplification of consonant clusters. Now, we are going to review exercises from the Area 1 Linguistics with the order format.
The next exercise: activities to develop written discourse. Sequence the following stages in the process approach to writing as commonly practiced in ESL or EFL classrooms. 1. Students edit their drafts based on peer and teacher feedback. 2. The teacher provides a writing prompt that includes a specific context and audience. 3. Students share their drafts with peers for feedback. 4. Students submit their final versions after making revisions. And 5. Students write their first drafts focusing on content, not grammar. Option A: 2, 5, 3, 1, 4. Option B: 2, 3, 5, 1, 4. Option C: 5, 3, 1, 4, 2. The correct answer is A. Let me explain. The correct sequence 2, 5, 3, 1, 4 outlines a typical process approach to writing. This starts with the teacher providing a prompt, which is 2, followed by students focusing on the content in their first drafts, which is 5. Then students engage in peer feedback, which is 3. And this leads to editing based on the feedback, which is 1. And finally, the submission of revised final version, which is 4. This sequence emphasizes the importance of content generation, feedback, and revision in the development of written discourse. The next exercise. Arrange the following steps in the order they would typically occur in a lesson based on the communicative language teaching, or CLT, approach. 1. Students perform a role-play activity using the target language structures. 2. The teacher introduces a situation where the language will be used. 3. Students complete a worksheet to practice new language structure. 4. the teacher presents the new language structure in the context. The options: A. 2, 4, 3, 1. B. 4, 2, 1, 3. C. 2, 4, 1, 3. The correct answer is A. Let me explain. The correct sequence, A, reflects the typical order of activities in a CLT lesson. The lesson starts with introducing a situation, which is 2, where the language will be used is followed by presenting the new language structure in the context, which is 4. After understanding the context and the structure, students practice the new language structure through a controlled activity, like a worksheet, which is 3, and finally they apply what they have learned in a more free-form activity, such as a role play, which is 1, and this allows for authentic use of the language. Let's move to the next exercise. Strategies for vocabulary teaching. A language educator is designing a unit plan to enhance vocabulary acquisition among intermediate level students. Which of the following activities would best support students' ability to learn and retain new vocabulary words? Select all that apply. 1. Encouraging students to create their own sentences using new vocabulary words. 2. Assigning the memorization of word lists without context. 3. Integrating new vocabulary into speaking and writing activities. 4. Using flashcards with words and definitions only. And 5. Organizing vocabulary words into thematic clusters and engaging students in related tasks. Here we have 3 options. Option A, 1, 3, and 5. Option B, 2 and 4. Option C, 1, 2, and 4. The correct answer in this case is A. Let me explain. Options 1, 3, and 5 are effective strategies for vocabulary teaching and learning. Creating sentences with the new words helps students apply vocabulary in the context. This will enhance the retention. Integrating vocabulary into speaking and writing activities ensures practical use and deeper learning. Organizing words into thematic clusters facilitates the understanding of new words through associations and contextual relevance. So it will be easier for students to learn and remember the vocabulary. The next exercise: strategies for teaching pronunciation. A teacher is planning to incorporate pronunciation activities into the language curriculum to help students improve their ability to pronounce English sounds accurately. Which of the following strategies should the teacher include? Select all that apply. 1. Using minimal pairs to help students distinguish between the similar sounds. 2. Encouraging students to memorize the phonetic alphabet. 3. Implementing shadowing exercises where students mimic spoken language from audio recordings. 4. Correcting every single pronunciation error immediately to ensure accuracy. And 5. Utilizing tongue twisters to practice specific sounds and rhythm. Here we have 3 options. Option A, 1, 3, and 5. Option B, 2 and 4. Option C, 1, 4, and 2. The correct answer is A. Let me explain why. The strategies 1, 3, and 5 are effective for teaching pronunciation. Using minimal pairs helps students distinguish between similar sounds, which is crucial for accurate pronunciation. Shadowing exercises allow students to practice the rhythm, intonation, and pronunciation of the language in a more natural context. Tongue twisters are a fun and engaging way to practice specific sounds and rhythm, making them a valuable tool for improving pronunciation.
This exercise is from the sub-area Morphology and Syntax about the topic Morphology of Words in the English Language. Order the steps to analyze the morphological structure of a complex word using the morphemic analysis method. Well, we have here the different elements. We're going to order them about the correct answer. We can see that the correct answer is C. That exposes that the sequence is 1, 2, 3, 5, and 4. So, this is the correct sequence. Let's check it. Okay, it says that first is identify the root morpheme, that is C. 2. Determine the derivational affixes. 3. Classify inflectional affixes, if any. 5. Like we can see here, establish the order in which morphemes are attached. And finally, 4. Determine the lexical category of the base word. This is the correct sequence: root identification, followed by the derivational and inflectional affixes, then morpheme attachment order, and finally categorization. Now we have this exercise from the topic Syntax in the English Language. We can see that the correct answer is A, with this sequence 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. Let's check it out. 4. Identify sequence sentence constituents. As we can see, A is the correct. Identify sentence constituents. 1. Apply substitution test like pronoun, perform, or do so. 2. Conduct movements test like lefting and fronting. 3. Examine coordination possibilities. And finally 5. Test for sentence parsing alternatives. This sequence is correct because this is the appropriate order. First, identify constituents, then apply substitution, movement, and coordination test, and finally evaluate parsing interpretations. Order the analytical steps to determine the morphemic structure of a complex English word in a linguistic study. We can see that the correct answer is A. This is 2, 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 2. Determine the root morpheme. 1. Identify all bound and free morphemes. 3. Analyze derivational affixes. 4. Analyze inflectional affixes. And 5. Establish the morphological rules applied. This is the correct sequence because first the root is identified, followed by the classification of morphemes, analysis of derivational and inflectional affixes, and concluding with the morphological rules involved. Order the steps in the syntactic analysis of an ambiguous English sentence using a generative grammar approach. The correct answer is A. We can see that it's 1, 4, 2, 3, and 5. The sentence or the sequence is: first, 1. Identify all lexical categories involved. 4. Apply phrase structure rules. 2. Draw 3 structures for all possible parses. 3. Recognize the source of ambiguity. And 5. Determine the intended interpretation based on context. This is the correct sequence because it begins with identifying lexical categories, applies phrase structure rules to build parses and analyzes ambiguity, and ends by resolving it using context. Order the steps requiring to conduct a morphological analysis of a complex English word, for example, unavailability using a derivational morphology approach. The correct answer is A. This is 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. First, 1. Determine the root or base morpheme. 2. Identify and classify all affixes like prefixes and suffixes. 4. Determine the word class after each affixation. 3. Analyze the word's internal hierarchical structure. And 5. Interpret the overall meaning of the word. Correct answer is A. The sequence is because first the base is identified, then the affixes are classified, and the word class is checked at each stage. Hierarchical structure is analyzed, and the final meaning is interpreted. This exercise is also from the topic Syntax in the English Language. Order the stages followed in a minimalist program, synthetic derivation according to the Chomsky framework. The correct answer is A. 1, 2, 5, 3, 4. A. 1. Select lexical items from the lexicon. 2. Apply merge to build structure. 5. Perform feature checking and agreement operations. 3. Move constituents to satisfy syntactic features. And 4. Spell out sense structure to PF and LF interfaces. Correct answer is A, because the derivation begins with lexical selection, proceeds through structure building like merge, feature checking movement to meet feature requirements, and ends with spell out. This exercise is from the topic Phonology of English. Order the steps a phonologist follows to analyze a phonological alteration pattern, plural S, the, and this, using a rule-based generative phonology approach. The correct answer is A. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's check it out. 1. Identify the surface like phonetic forms of alternants. 2. Determine the phonological environment of each alternant. 3. Postulate an underlying representation. 4. Formulate phonological rules that derive in surface forms. And 5. Test the rules for generality and exceptions. This sequence is correct because this is the standard approach. Observe phonetic data, identify environments, hypothesize underlying forms, propose rules, and evaluate them. This exercise is from the topic Phonology of English. Order the steps used in the analysis of syllable structure in English, focusing on the identification of permissible sound combinations and syllable boundaries. Correct answer is A. This is 2, 1, 4, 3, 5. Let's check it out. 2. Segment the utterance into individual phones. 1. Identify the sonority peak in each syllable. 4. Apply the sonority sequence principle to test firmness. 3. Analyze syllable boundaries using the maximal onset principle. And 5. Determine onset, nucleus, and coda for each syllable. So, the correct answer is A. The sequence is this because phones are segmented first and then sonority peaks are identified. The sonority sequence principle guides syllable shape, followed by boundary analysis and final parsing into consonants. For example, B and C are incorrect, because identifying peaks before segmenting phones lacks foundation, and applying boundary principles before sonority violates methodological order. C is incorrect because applying sonority rules before identifying peaks and boundaries results in a circular analysis and misses foundational ordering. This example is from the topic Phonology of English. Order the steps used in the analysis of syllable structure in English, focusing on the identification of permissible sound combination and syllable boundaries. Correct answer is A. This is 2, 1, 4, 3, 5. This is 2. Segment the utterance into individual phones. 1. Identify the sonority peak in each syllable. 4. Apply the sonority sequencing principle to test well-formedness. 3. Analyze syllable boundaries using the maximal onset principle. And 5. Determine onset, nucleus, and coda for each syllable. Okay, we checked something very similar before, so we are going to pass to the next exercise. This exercise is from the topic Lexis and Vocabulary in the English Language. Order the steps to develop a pedagogical vocabulary profile for learners in English, focusing on word selection based on frequency and communicative relevance. Correct answer, as we can see, is A. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's check it out. 1. Select a representative language corpus. 2. Analyze word frequency and distribution. 3. Identify high utility lexical item across context. 4. Classify vocabulary by C, E, F, R or proficiency level. And 5. Adapt the word list for instructional purposes. The correct answer is like this. Sequence because the process begins with the corpus selection, followed by frequency analysis, lexical prioritization, level classification, and didactic adaptation. B and C are incorrect because starting analysis without corpus selection undermines empirical validity. Adapting content before classification leads to instructional inconsistencies. And C is also incorrect because prioritizing lexical items before knowing their frequency may lead to arbitrary inclusion or exclusion in the final list. And finally, we can see this exercise from the topic Analysis of Spoken and Written Discourse. Order the analytical steps used to examine coherence and cohesion in a written academic test. Correct answer is A. Is 1, 3, 2, 4, and 5. Let's check it out. 1. Identify cohesive devices such as reference, substitution, and conjunction. 3. Evaluate paragraph-level logical relations. 2. Analyze the macrostructure and topic progression. 4. Check for consistency of register and discourse markers. And 5. Assesses overall coherence and communicative effectiveness. B is incorrect and also C because starting with macrostructure before analyzing cohesion limits identification of local textual ties necessary for full disclosure in discourse interpretation. And logical paragraph analysis must precede register checks as coherence emerges through both form and function integration. Now we will go over exercises from the Area 1 Linguistics in the matching format, that is, relation of elements, where you are asked to connect related concepts of ideas. We can see this exercise from the sub-area Language Teaching Methodology of the topic Use of Visual Aids in ELT. Match the type of visual organizer to its communicative function. We have this column and this visual organizer and communicative function. We can see that the correct answer is B. Let's check it out. First, we have in the visual organizer 1, mind map, that match with D, that is, to connect central and related concepts in a non-linear fashion. 2, flowchart with C, to display a sequence of actions or decisions in a process. 3, Venn diagram with A, to show overlapping characteristics or shared and unique features. And finally, 4. Timeline with B, to represent chronological order of events. The correct answer is this because each visual is accurately related to its function. Mind maps connect to concepts, flowcharts to show process steps, Venn diagrams illustrate shared and unique traits, and timeless reflect sequence. A and C are incorrect. A because the flowchart and Venn diagram are correctly matched, but a mind map does not classify contrasting ideas in columns, and timelines are used for chronological rather than comparative purposes. And C is also incorrect because each pairing is mismatched. The functions do not align with the intended instructional purpose of the visual organizers. This exercise is from the topic Use of Visual Aids in ELT. Match the type of visual material to the instructional goal it best supports in ESL, EFL classroom. As we can see, the correct answer is A. Let's check it out. The visual material 1, infographic, match with B, present factual data through concise visuals. 2, flashcards with D, drill discrete lexical items rapidly. 3, comic strip with C, encourage inference making and narrative reconstruction. And 4, word cloud with A, reinforce vocabulary and demonstrate semantic relations. The sequence is, or the match is correct because infographics represent or present data effectively, flashcards are ideal for lexical drills, comic strips support inferencing and storytelling, and word clouds show vocabulary clusters. While B and C are incorrect because flashcards are not designed for semantic grouping and word clouds are not typically used for inferencing narratives. And C is also incorrect because word clouds are not effective for lexical drills and comic strips do not primarily serve procedural explanation. This exercise is from the topic Instructional Techniques for Language Skills. Match the instructional technique with the language skill it primarily enhances. We can see that the correct answer is A. So we can see that the correct match is this, and we have the instructional technique and the language skill. The instructional technique 1 is dictogloss matched with B, that is integrating note-taking, listening accuracy, and text reform. While 2 is running dictation with E, fostering active listening with kinesthetic engagement. 3. Information gap activity with C, promoting oral fluency through interactive meaning negotiation. And finally 4. Just chance, developing awareness of prosody, stress, and pronunciation. The match is correct because this dictogloss targets listening, note-taking, and reconstruction. Running dictation engages learners physically while decoding speech. Information gaps foster interaction. Just chance enhance suprasegmental features. While B and C are incorrect. This exercise is from the topic Varieties of English. Match each English variety to its defining characteristic. We have the correct answer like A, and we can see that the correct match is like this. The variety of English, Indian English, matched with the influence from Tamil and Hindi, retroflex consonants, distinctive use of articles. 2. Singapore English, with the substrate influence from Chinese and Malay, pragmatic particles like la and me. 3. African American Vernacular English, AABE, with C, is the use of habitual B, absence of third person S, and consonant closer reduction. And finally 4. American English, with A, rhotic accent, use of Goethe lexical influence from German and Dutch. Well, we can see here why the correct match is like this, while B and C are incorrect.